Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to part 2 of BIM Collaborate Pro for Civil 3D users. In our first session, we looked at how we could access the cloud platform itself. We looked at how we could create a project, develop a directory structure, and we saw how to upload and view our files. So we also looked at how we could invite collaborators, adjust their properties, and we saw how we could control their permissions. So what I'd like to do, at least initially, is we're going to be here in PowerPoint, okay? So we're going to cover our little Autodesk safe harbor statement that says that anything that's discussed today, don't, base any kind of sales thing on it, etc. More for legal purposes than anything else, okay? So let's get started with really the linchpin for Collaborate Pro with Civil 3D, and that's Desktop Connector. Now, the Desktop Connector is a free download, okay? And this represents the conduit between your local hard drive and the cloud, okay? I'll put a link up in there after the fact with desktop, or Alice, if you've got it, if you could put it in the chat while I'm going through this, that would actually be great if you could find that for us. So when you download your Desktop Connector to your machine, it is a local install, okay? Think of it as adding an additional drive directly onto your machine. So, and this is the drive that we'll be using to open and save files, store files, etc. These will work similar to Windows File Explorer, okay? One of the benefits of Desktop Connector is that from Civil 3D's perspective, it's still working local, because technically it is, okay? Now, there's really no learning curve here. It's the same as working off a drive with a different letter, okay? Now, if you'll take a look down at the bottom left, you'll see that as of today, Autodesk recommends using the latest version of Civil 3D, but as a minimum, Civil 3D 2020.2. Okay, so today I'll be using Civil 3D 2024, and after we install our Desktop Connector, we'll see it down here in the system tray. So what I'll do now is we're going to swap out of this, and we'll head into Civil 3D. We'll go down into my system tray here, and we'll see right there, looks like a gray cube with a D in it, Autodesk Desktop Connector. If I hover over the icon like I just did, you'll see what build number you have. Mine is 16.5. Now 16.6 has recently been released, and that will be the latest version. So that would be the one that you'll want to update as you go forward, okay? Now, if I select the icon, it takes me to the home screen. And this is showing me the transactions that have occurred between my machine and the cloud. And this is where we can see history of files that we've uploaded or downloaded. Now, after we have installed, we can access our settings by clicking the gear here in the top right corner. Okay, so right now it's telling me, yes, there is an update available. That is correct. Okay, I can upload files and references, select projects, reference explorer, sign out, work offline, etc. Okay, I want to select projects because what this will do is it will allow me to select the projects that I want to have access to. Okay, if we do not select projects here, they will not be seen in your File Explorer. Okay, so here's my Autodesk docs. There's my Hagerman, there's my Hagerman ACC. Unless you select your projects, they will not be seen here under Autodesk docs. Okay, this is the drive that Desktop Connector creates after it's been installed. Automatic, you don't have to do anything. Okay, we'll just minimize that for a second. So right now, I currently should see 2 projects. All right, now it says choose up to 40 projects. I just learned that now you can actually go up to 60 if that's something that's important to you. Okay, but those are the only 2 that I will see. So for example, let's bring that Explorer back up. We'll put it over here and we'll select another project. We'll say master standards. We'll save that and it populates automatically. Okay, so now I have access to master standards as well. All right, it's just that simple. To remove a project, simply the opposite. Toggle whatever project you'd like and toggle it off. Today, we really are only concerned with these 2. Simplicity is the best key here. Okay, so we'll save. That's been removed. We're okay. Okay, so once we have our Autodesk Docs drive, we'll see the projects we've been assigned to as long as we select projects. Okay, and these are the projects that are cached on my local machine. All right, beautiful. So far, so good. Once we get into our File Explorer and we start to drill down, and I've created a couple of subfolders here already. Okay, we can see that not only do I have the latest version here of alignments and the latest version of EG surface. Okay, sorry about that. So for example, so if I open a drawing file, PDF, Word document, whatever it is, okay, I'll have access to it, I can work on it, I can save it. After closing, the icon will change. It will show us there's a cached version of the PDF on my machine, okay? If I work on this file tomorrow, it will automatically, and in the background, be compared to the version in the cloud. If they are the same, the cached version will be opened. If not, it will be updated and I'll still be working on the current file. Okay. Now, if I were to select this alignments.dwg, right, and I right click on this, there's an option here for always keep on this device. That means we have the ability to keep an eye on the file. Okay, so if someone changes the file at some point, our machine will notice and it will automatically download the latest version in the background. So you will always have that latest version. Okay. All right. Now, back to Civil. Accessing your files in Civil 3D, your DWG files, will be the same as it has been since the beginning of time. Okay. We'll make sure that we go ahead and click open. You'll want to access Autodesk Docs. This is automatically placed in your places sidebar here. And then you'll want to go in. select the appropriate project, the project files. I've got DWGs in here, okay, and my cover sheet, which we see right here. Okay, let's close properties for the time being, right? Now, it doesn't matter what file we open, it will automatically pull that file local to my machine, okay? Now, we can take a look at our desktop connector. Let me get that open here very quickly. I'm going to access my projects, and we'll drag this over, okay? So here's the project that I have for today. So I currently have webinar project files, DWG, and cover sheet. Now, as soon as I click on that, sorry about that, it shows you that it is locked, okay? And if I hover, I can see who it's locked by. In this case, it is me. So if you're needing that file, it will tell you who has it. You can go directly to that person. Hey, I need to get into this file. Let me know when you're done. And we can move on with creating and accessing our project and making our changes. Okay, perfect. Now, as I work on this, I can save changes, okay? It will version up the file, okay? We see that here. So initially there was version 1. I made a couple of changes to this file, saved it. It is now version 2. So anything beyond this will just update automatically. Version 3, it'll version up, okay? And when I close the file here, we'll see that that lock is removed. Okay. No, we didn't do anything. Okay. No changes, no versioning up, and now it's unlocked and available to anyone else. Okay. Now, creating a new file, whether I'm creating one for cloud use or local use, will be the same workflow that we've used from the beginning. So we'll move up here to our application menu. We'll create a new file. Now, your template files will remain where they are. You do not need to move your template files into the cloud, okay? So wherever your template file is located today, that's where it should continue to be located. So we'll just grab Autodesk Imperial. We'll say open. All right. We'll draw a couple of things here. Easy enough. Now, when the time comes to save, if I want this to be available in the cloud, what I'll need to do is save it to the cloud. So once that occurs, we'll save as, same as it's always been, except we'll select our Autodesk docs, right? We'll drill down, project files, DWGs. This is just garbage, so we'll throw it right here in the main folder. Test, we'll say save. Okay. Now, once we get there, we'll see that in our drill down, it might take a minute, but we'll see test come up, okay? Now, your syncing can be, your syncing time is determined by a lot of things, your bandwidth, things of that nature. So it may take longer for mine than it does for yours, for example, but it will show up there eventually, okay? We're running quite a little bit of bandwidth here for our webinar, but I'll just drag this over, all right? And now that we've got it, every time I save it, it will be versioned up, and that's exactly what we want, okay? Now, the question you have might be this. Well, I'm one of those people that saves early and saves often. I'm old school. I learned to save periodically. I don't rely on autosave because it's not really functionable for what I need to do. I would much rather save, have a backup file made, etc. What happens if I save early and often? I don't want to version up to the cloud over and over and over and over and over and over again, because at the end of the day, I may have saved 30 times and now I've got version 30 in my cloud, okay? Well, can I just save locally until I'm ready to actually save to the cloud? And the answer is yes, okay? There is a free add-in in the Autodesk App Store. It is called Local Save. Okay, here it is. All right, all you've got to do is go to the App Store, search Local Save. This will be the one that comes up. You'll want to download it. Okay, this tool takes advantage of your autosave feature. So what this will do is when you save locally, it will place it in the location where your autosaves are stored. All right, let's get this off. So for example, if we open up our options, automatic save location, typically this is where they will be, at least in the current versions of the software. Okay, so I'm going to browse that. Here's my temp directory. Okay, and this is where it will place it. Now, it will still use the SV $ extension. Be aware of that. Okay, but you'll know what the name is and you'll know where it's going to be located. That is technically your backup. Okay, your SV $ are essentially the same as a DWG file. They respond and react just the same as if you were to change the extension of a .bak, your backup files, to DWG. Okay, so once you change that extension, you'll be able to go ahead and open up that file with no issues. All right, so just in case something happens and you need to go back, okay, this is where it will be located for your local saves. All right, so with that, we'll close this up. On your ribbon, you will have an add-ins tab. Here's my local save and here's my cloud save. This is what you'll see after installing the local save app. Okay, so if we want to locally save, you simply click. Okay, see it's an L save, save completed. It tells you where it's located. There will be a test.sv $. Okay, easy enough. We can take a look at that here in a second, right? But if we're ready, we can go ahead and cloud save. So at the end of the day or at lunchtime, however you want to do it, whatever your company's standard is, you can go ahead and click cloud save. Now what that does is it's going to run a queue save, okay? It's pushing it through that desktop connector. It will save it up to the cloud and it will update the version, okay? So a few things about desktop connector. When you're working in desktop connector, the local caches are stored on your C drive by default. However, you can put them on a different local drive letter if you choose to do so. It's always recommended to save the default locations, but now you can change that location either at the point of install, okay, or we can do it after the fact. So if I go ahead and I open up my desktop connector, okay, and I go to my gear, if I click on help, or at least hover, I can see I have a change workspace. Right? Now, if I select it now, it's going to tell me that, hey, you can't do this. You have cached information or cached content on your hard drive. So you would want to remove those files and then go back into the gear, and then you could go ahead and change your workspace location. All right. X references. We're finally getting into the crux of why everyone's here. Okay. So over X references, data shortcut sheet sets. We're in good shape for time. Now, I have, let's close this. It's over. Okay. So this is my project. Under project files, I've gone ahead, I've created a couple of subfolders. Okay, I've got Civil 3D data. That's going to be where my working folder is for my data shortcuts when it comes time. Okay, I've got sheet sets here that I've created. That's going to hold my sheet set information. Okay. Now, what we'll do is this. I'm going to go back to Civil. We'll close this file up. Don't need it anymore. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead. Let's open up a file from Docs. Okay. And it can be literally anything. Let's go to a surface file. Okay. So I'm going to open up my surface. And now we can utilize our X references here. Again, okay, the learning curve is very minimal. It's probably the easiest learning curve of any software based on BIM. Okay, because, hey, by golly, you know what? It should be, because we need a break as civils, right? So we can now utilize our XREFs in the clouds. Beautiful. All right, so XREFs in the cloud will work exactly as they do from working from a local machine, because literally it is. Okay, now the only thing you need to remember, okay, is that when you get to your dialog box, your path type needs to be relative. Full pathing is not allowed from the cloud, okay? All of these other settings that you see, they can be adjusted however you need, but the path must remain relative. We'll simply click OK, and we're going to see that it's completely out of nowhere. Oh, 0, 0. And there we go. And yes, that is the correct location. Might be a little bit hard to see there, so let's do this real quick. There we go. And that is definitely where my drainage is, okay? And that's how you bring in your X references. Now your X references must be in the cloud, okay, in order to utilize them. So we're thinking now that instead of using your local hard drive or your server location for your construction documents, you'll now be using the Autodesk Docs drive, so to speak. Okay, beautiful. Let's take this away. Attach, and we're gone. All right. I have this surface. This is in Docs, okay? We come up here to the top, we can see that it is in ACC Docs, okay? So I know that it is a cloud document, and here's my surface, okay? There's one surface in here, and it is called existing, okay? So I want to create a data shortcut so that everybody else in my project can actually utilize this. So I need to do the same thing that we've done in the past. We need to set a working folder, okay? So in this case, I'll go to my Manage tab. I've got Data Shortcuts panel. I want to set the working folder. Now, I need to access my Docs drive, okay? And my project file. And I'm going to select the folder Civil 3D Data. And we'll select the folder, okay? Now, that will be my working folder for my data references. Please remember to create your working folder inside your projects before you begin to data reference anything into your project. It also needs to be one level down minimum from project files. All right. Civil 3D data underneath project files. It kind of makes sense. That's kind of where we would put it anyway, but it definitely needs to be below project files. Now, I want to create my data shortcuts folders for my XML file. So again, we'll go to Manage. We'll set the shortcuts folder. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Beg your pardon. New shortcuts folder. We're not seeing anything different than what we've seen forever and ever and ever, right? So in this case, under Civil 3D data, the only true information that I need is a name for that folder. I call them DREFs, okay? You can call it whatever you would like. All right, now, in the past, you may have used a project template file. You would go ahead and browse for it. It would bring it in. It would be nice and beautiful, okay? But when you are working in the cloud, we will not use our project template, okay? Because in the cloud, the directory structure has already been created. We've seen what we have. Anything else will either be created once we get moving within the cloud, okay? So we do not want to use project template here. So the only thing I want to do is change the name and click OK. All right. So we're all set up. There we go. There it is right there. We can check it in our prospector. Okay. Take it out 100 feet and it still wouldn't be, right? Okay. So now I'm ready. I can move up to my Manage tab again. Create data shortcut. Okay. Create data shortcuts. The current file must be the same. Okay. Easy enough. So what I need to do here is I need to that went too far. No, did not go too far. Okay. All right. Associate the project to the current drawing. Okay. Yep. All right. Easy enough. Now, it's the same process as before. Okay. I'm going to select the surface. I don't care about that alignment. We'll say okay. We'll go back over to our prospector. There it is right there, existing. It's now available to us. It tells us the name of the surface. All right. It tells us, or excuse me, it tells us the source file. It tells us the location here. We're good to go. Right. Nice. So this is what allows data shortcuts to work within the cloud. Everyone and everything will have the same path. And that starts with your Autodesk docs. Okay. So what I'll do is this. Let's create a new file. I don't care what template I use, we'll do this. Okay. So now that I've created a new file before I reference, I need to save this file to the cloud location. Now, I've done that, and it happens to be called alignments. So in this file, you'll see that I have alignments. I don't think I've created them yet for the data shortcut, but that's okay. The process is the same. Okay. So what I can do now is I can come over and see and create a reference. And it works just like it does everywhere else. Okay, there it is. That is in the proper location. I happen to know that. Okay. Again, I can't stress this enough. Whenever you're referencing files, whether they are X references, whether they are data references, you want to be sure they're all in the cloud first before you start linking things together. Okay. Awesome. All right. Lastly, let's talk about sheet sets. I don't know how many of you use sheet sets. But we can use sheet sets in docs. Okay. Now, when it comes to sheet sets, when you are creating your sheet set, it is going to want to look for your CAD standard sheet set template. Okay. So what I've done here is this. We'll go back over to our projects. I know it's HCO. There it is. I've selected and created one called HCO CAD Standards. Now in here, I've created some subfolders: fonts, line types, pen tables, sheet sets. This is what I'm really concerned with here. Okay. But if I select it, I have placed a sheet set template here in the cloud. I had to do a couple of changes to my custom properties so my fields will work. So it is version 2. Okay. Now, I've done this because I like my information in a one-stop location. Okay. This way you can basically lock it down and give only, for example, user permissions instead of admin permissions here, so that only certain people can access, change the fonts, edit the sheet set manager, etc. So you can lock it down. Okay, so this is where you can maintain your company standards at. All right. Okay. You will, though, need to be invited to the project. Obviously, you can't get any permissions if you're not invited. So make sure that whoever's included, your IT manager, whoever's going to be running your cloud, your BIM manager, you're going to want to make sure that they give you the same information. Okay. Now, let's move this out of the way. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and access a cover sheet. Okay. So my cover sheet is filled with my fields. They are blank for right now. Okay. But we'll want to go ahead and create our sheet set. We'll go over to our view, our palettes. We'll open up sheet set. Here's the one I've created. Okay. And this is the one that came from. So if I select new sheet set, we now have a new option. Cloud example sheet set. Okay. This feature was introduced in Civil 3D 2023.1. You won't see that unless you're at a minimum at 2023.1. So if you want to utilize your cloud functionality for your sheet sets, you'll need to update to at least that version there. Okay. All right. So we'll select that, even though I've already got one created, but we'll select this, say okay, and next. And it should prompt me. Cloud. Might be behind something here. Let me take a look. Huh, it is not. Well, that takes care of that. Well, what will happen is this. Okay. And we'll come back. Might have it issue here. See recent, I've got one in there. Cloud. I apologize that it is not working properly. Okay. And I'm not getting the cloud actually there. So you'll need to select your project. And in this case, it would be that HCO CAD standards that I had created. Okay. And I would need to go and drill down to that sheet set location. Maybe this isn't the one that's on the on docs. Go ahead and open it. So make sure we go to docs. Open. All right, here in docs. View.
You might check, you've got one file up there that's not in the cloud, so it might not be auto-detecting just for the cloud. See one DWG2 up there.
Sorry, where?
One drawing open, that DWG2, maybe it's not auto-detecting the web since that's open. I think your other files are all pointing to the web.
Let's see. No, it's just going to give me a hard time for it. That's okay. Because the process, and I apologize for that, but the process is going to be the same. Your sheet set manager palette does have a little bit of a different look to it. Okay. What should have happened is I should have gotten a dialog box so that I could select my sheet set template. Okay. On the left-hand side, you would drill down to your project, that your standards project that holds your DST file. Okay. Then you would go ahead and select that file on the right-hand side. Once you select that template DST file, you'll get the Create Sheet Set dialog box. On the right-hand side, you will see the sheet set properties, much like you would see here. Okay, this would be on the right-hand side of your Create Sheet Set. Right? You can make any changes you would like. And then you would go ahead and click Create, and it would create your sheet set. All right. Now, as of Civil 3D 2020 3.1, when you are opening or editing a sheet set within the cloud, it will open using the Sheet Set Manager for web. Yes, it should auto-detect. Okay. I can't explain why it's not auto-detecting. But it does look a little bit different. The functionality, though, will be the same. You'll be able to add custom sheet set properties, custom sheet properties, etc. Just like you would normally here. You wouldn't get this, but there is an edit properties that you would right click at the on the there's a pull down, there's a right click for custom properties. You would be able to go ahead and add your custom properties. Okay. Again, they'll automatically update, etc., based upon being correct with your custom properties or your fields within your block. Okay. It's really not going to be a huge, all right, let's see here. Let's try this. It's on. Okay. That's all right. We could try to troubleshoot this. The most important information is your learning curve for utilizing your projects in BIM is very small. In fact, literally no learning curve for your users at all. They'll open files from the docs project. They will save to the docs project. They will also go ahead and utilize any standards that you've uploaded via a separate project. And it's just like using a different drive letter, except that it is in the cloud. Okay. Now with that, I apologize for the technical difficulty there at the very end, but I'm going to